All right, y'all ready for this? Did anybody else eat too much? God, the food was so good. Thank you. A little bit louder. Can everybody hear me in the back? Yes. All right.
Can you turn it on?
Turn it on?
Can you hear it?
Yeah, it's on. It's on. Okay. All right, well, Thao, thank you for giving me the opportunity to hopefully make an impact on somebody. Today we're going to talk about a really exciting subject, saving money. Who in here still has a 9-to-5? Who in here has felt like a slave at their 9-to-5? Riley, don't raise your hand. He works for me. Okay, higher. Okay, so I also had a 9-to-5, and we'll talk about it here in a minute. So this is finding your freedom number and escaping the rat race. Getting rich and escaping the rat race is just simple math. Increase revenue, decrease expenses, save cash, invest for the highest returns possible, manage it well, and live life. Click. Okay, first a disclaimer. The following content is for informational purposes only and represents the personal opinions and experiences of Jakawan. It is not, I repeat, not financial advice, unless, of course, you count advice like don't bet the farm on Dogecoin as financial wisdom, even though it's up over 350% this quarter. Okay, always seek professional and legal and financial counsel before making any decisions that could impact your wallet or your emotional well-being. You know, do your own research, crunch the numbers, and remember that even the best of us get things wrong, like that time someone thought Beanie Babies was going to be a good investment. I think I still have some. Jakawan is not responsible or liable for any financial decisions, losses, gains, existential crises that may result from following any of the advice or ideas presented here. In short, use your brain, do your homework, don't blame me if things go sideways, and I've never shared like this before, so I hope you guys brought a notebook. Click. Okay, a little bit about me. Hi, I'm Jakawan. Hi. I have a problem with buying real estate. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about income and credit cards. I was 21 years old and I was working as a correctional officer when I was first introduced to Rich Dad, Poor Dad. An inmate, I saw him, he was reading books all the time, and I was like, why do you read so many books, man? And he said, it keeps me out of trouble, and I have plans when I get out of here. I'm gonna use credit cards to buy stuff on eBay, and then I'm gonna sell that stuff and use that money to put it into real estate. And I was like, man, what a great idea, I'm gonna steal that. So after I read that book, 3 months later, I quit my state job and I moved to Edmond in 2012. And I don't know if you guys know, but I'm half Thai, and my grandma yelled at me because she said, you quit your state job, you stupid. She really said that, no lie. Okay, I never went to any type of college or university. The most I've ever earned at the job was $13.85 an hour, and I thought I was balling. $13.85 an hour. Before that, I was making $8 an hour at Walmart. Before that was McDonald's. I've also worked at Lock Supply, 7-Eleven, Jimmy John's, making between $9 and $12 an hour. Basically, I'm unemployable. I've been fired a couple times, but in 2014, I had over $24,000 of credit card debt and less than $5,000 to my name. So you can do a lot real quick. I had no rentals. I was making $12 an hour as an assistant superintendent. In 2015, I quit my job at Jimmy John's to go full-time into real estate. I struggled with credit card debt for another 2 years until I sold my personal home. But I didn't become credit card debt-free until 5 years later. So if any of you guys are in credit card debt, if you guys are willing to be vulnerable, who's in credit card debt? Have some credit card debt? Okay, it's like half the room. So this is an important talk then. Okay, let's talk about finding your freedom number. Where's my clipboard? I'm gonna pass this out real quick while we get to this. I didn't bring enough. I didn't know there'd be so many people here, man. Thank you guys for coming.
All right, it's only the first row.
How about raise your hand if you want one?
You gotta sit up front.
Okay.
What is this paper? Is this the same thing?
They're all the same thing. Okay. Just some were bigger, some were smaller. I probably spent way too much time getting the formatting right so more people could have one. I worked on this for a long time. I hope I don't go over time. But okay, so financial independence means cash flow pays for your current living expenses. If you've read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, you know he talks about create enough cash flow to pay for your living expenses. Financial freedom means cash flow and assets pay for your dream life, whatever your dream life is. My goals were, I want to be able to do what I want, when I want, where I want, with who I want. And I traveled a lot in my 20s, and real estate paid for that. Okay, so here's some things to consider, like the questions I've been asking. What are your current monthly living expenses? What are you currently saving per month, if anything? Do you have any credit card debt? Do you have a car payment? Do you have any student loan debt? What are your current interest rates on your debt? And what does your dream life look like? And does it really cost as much as you think it does? So the handout that we're passing out right now is it's this sheet. And it talks about how much does your current life cost and how much does your dream life cost. Some of you guys messaged me for the first time on Facebook, and we start getting into talking about money, and this is what I'm asking. I'm like, well, what are your expenses? I ask the boring questions. You know, everybody talks about like making a lot of money and buying Rolexes and stuff. Like, I'm so boring, I don't do that. But most of us live in a house. We either pay rent or we have a mortgage. Most of us have a car. We have a payment or we paid cash. And then most of us have utilities and we probably eat food, right? So on here you can go through and fill out what are your monthly expenses right now, and then what does your dream life cost? Have you guys ever done the math to see what it costs to have that big house that looks pretty to you? Have you ever done the math to see what would your payment be on that car that you want? There's someone here that said they wanted the Tesla, yeah, a couple days ago on Tuesday. And he said after we had a conversation, he went back and rewrote his goals. So it's powerful. Nick, what happened the last time that you saw me talk up here about money?
I quit my job and spent a lot more time with my kids and got fully into real estate.
So that's awesome, man. It's so important. Okay, so let's get into it. I don't think it costs that much. So when I was single, I thought I could do it on 10 grand a month. So I was like, okay, I can get a decent sized house. This is when interest rates are a little bit lower. I wrote this in about 2016, 17. So mortgage payment, $3,000, dream car, $1,500 a month. You know, it all adds up to $10,500 a month. But that's really not that much. If you think about it, that's about $61 an hour, 40 hours a week. I say net profit or saved money because in business, you know, we're going to have income and then we're going to have expenses. So maybe we make $100 an hour. Have you guys ever read Dan Martell's book, Buy Back Your Time? Yeah. In that book, he talks about taking your net income for the year and then dividing it by 2,000 something hours. I don't remember what, 2,080 hours. And then that's how you get this number. So it's really not that much. And if you have a family, a lot of you are like 10 grand a month's nothing. Well, if you have a family, that's 252,000, right? I can't math. So it's not that crazy if you break it down monthly. Okay, so savings is income not spent and set aside for future use, like investing. Here's the crazy thing, savings. A quarter of Americans have few savings, 1 in 10 have no savings. So how much, if anything, do you have saved at the moment in all your savings accounts? 12% of Americans have nothing, no monies, maybe negative. I've seen some friends' bank accounts. 27% of Americans have less than $1,000 in their bank account. 18% have less than 10 grand, 11% have less than 50 grand, and then 11% have 50,000 or more in their savings account. I think a lot of this room is in here. I see some really wealthy investors in here. Okay, next. All right, here's some scary numbers. 60% of adults in America don't have a budget. 54% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. 40% of people earning $100,000 per year are paycheck to paycheck. Isn't that crazy? 35% of Americans have credit card debt, and the average balance is at least $6,000. 33% of Americans have no retirement savings, and 21% of Americans don't save any of their income. So I'm stuck between I need to save some money and YOLO. YOLO. So this was me in 2014. Come a little way. My wife tells me what to dress now. So I had no rentals. I was working for $12 an hour. I was going to my job as an assistant superintendent, caulking toilets and trim, doing anything that they didn't want to pay trades to do, like carry the ladder, caulk the toilets, put the trim down. I had concrete floors because I couldn't afford carpet. If you look over there, I was sleeping on the floor. I had no mattress, no bed, just an $89 memory foam mattress pad from Walmart, one of those like 2-inch things, and I put that on the floor and made a little pallet. 9 months earlier, I cried myself to sleep in the bank parking lot because I didn't know how I was going to pay my next mortgage payment or bills. Any of you guys ever been that low? I see some hands. I was in debt. I was a wholesaler, and I started selling to this guy. I'm not going to say his name. And he got me into a flip. And I lost $25,000 on my first flip when I had $5 grand in the bank. Do the math. That was scary because I went from having no credit to pretty good credit, to like a 740 credit score. And then I met this dude and I lost all, and it all went into debt. So I had to go back to a 9-to-5 with my tail between my legs. I was super depressed and ashamed. I had to find a way out. So some of you guys, like, you still have a job and you're trying to figure out, how do I do this while I have a job? You're gonna have to work more than 60 hours a week. You're gonna have to make some sacrifices. You're gonna have to stay up. Would you believe me if I told you I stayed up till 2:30 last night making this? Because it's important. This is important for your future. Okay, so these were my bills back then. These are my debts. You can see Capital One, Discover Card, Capital One. I found this really cool trick where you can like ask them to send you checks, and then I was writing myself a check from my credit card company and then cashing it and cycling it and finding the things I could pay cash for. That's a whole nother meeting. But anyways, I had $22,000 in debt, and here's how I worked it out. I put 50% of my income from my job to debt because I had to. My minimum payments equaled that. So I had to figure out how to live on less. And then I had to put something into investing. And the best way that I found to invest back then was marketing. So 25% to marketing and 25% to living expenses. I had to get roommates. Some of you don't have a choice and some of you do have a choice, but it's gonna help you get there faster if you make these decisions. So I started sending postcards while I worked a job. This is construction paper I bought from Dollar Tree, and I printed on it 4 pieces, the same way that these are printed two pages to a page. This is 4 pages to a page, and I cut them up and stamped them myself. And I started sending letters and postcards, and I started to get phone calls. And so I was at my job, and I'd go to the bathroom to return voicemail calls. I would stay at my job until 6 or 7 p.m. for 2 reasons, because I lived in Edmond in a $419 a month apartment, and I would drive to work and more. And I wanted to skip traffic, so I'd stay and make follow-up calls. I always say the fortune's in the follow-up when you're wholesaling or trying to do sales, so that's what I did. Start where you are. So this is a cardboard bandit sign, just to give you more idea of like where I was at. I went to Home Depot, and these are masonry ladders. And I took clippers, and I clipped masonry wires to make my own stakes, and then I cut these out of boxes, like stove boxes and stuff from Home Depot. And I borrowed the knife too from one of the dudes working at Home Depot. So, and I got a call. And when that dude called me, I was like, how'd you get my number? And he's like, the cardboard sign. And I was like, cool, what do you got? Okay, so there's clues in this pic. I was developing my mind even though I had little. This is 2015. I don't have the laser on here, but this is the millionaire mind right here. And then you can see home improvement. I'm trying to learn how to fix houses because I thought I had to do it myself, but I mean, I kind of did because I didn't have any money. Again, concrete floors. This is an old camera I got a deal on because I was taking my own pictures as a wholesaler because I had a flip phone. This is a scale and tape because I was selling on eBay. I was doing anything I could, but it was a mess. But I'm just like you. You can do this and you can do more if you want to. So if we go back to this page, you can see this whiteboard here. This is in 2015. So this is me talking to myself. And this is the way that you need to talk to yourself too if you're trying to go on this journey. What is required of me? Number 1, massive action. Just do something. If you wait to know everything, nothing will ever happen. Number 2, constant discomfort. If you stick to the same old routine, you'll get the same old result. You must push yourself every single day. Incremental growth every day will lead to massive results over time. It's the compound effect, right? You have to get an edge. So let's think about a pond with goldfish in it, right? There's like, when you start out, they're all the same size, but at the end, there's always a bigger goldfish, right? It's because there's one goldfish that's a little bit faster, that eats a little bit more food, and gets a little bit bigger, and gets a little bit stronger over time. But over a year, 2 years, 3 years, he's the biggest fish, and the smallest fish might have died or got eaten or whatever. So just those incremental things over time. Okay, persistence. Roadblocks are inevitable. Anybody here lost money in business? Raise your hand. Oh, that's everybody. So you have to look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself that you are going to succeed no matter what it takes. There will be setbacks, but you have to get back up. Number 4, leverage. Leverage your time. Your time is valuable, so outsource. Utilize systems, processes, people, and relationships. Think like a multimillionaire. Number 5, purpose. Set compelling goals that pull you out of bed. Have a vision, be great, make an impact, and be intentional. I love that word, impact. That's what all this is about, right? All right, so let's talk about how to do it now. Anybody want to know how to do it? Woo! All right, step 1. $25,000 in savings. I know, I told you the boring part. We got to save money. So if you don't have $25,000 in savings, this is what we're going to do. This is the saving money stage. Create a gap between your income and your expenses so you can start saving money. That means live with less so that you have excess capital to invest. The first $25,000 in savings is the hardest to achieve because it takes frugality. If you don't have a business, if you don't have nothing to sell, the only way you can do it is work your job and reduce your expenses so you can save some money at first. And then we can get into side hustles. The first $100,000 is harder than going from $1 million to $2 million. It took me 5, 6, 7 years to get to the first 100,000, but 1 million to 2 million happened in like 2 years. It's amazing. Okay, so the biggest factors in step one are usually your rent, your mortgage, your car payments. I don't know how many people I've met that make $4,000 a month and spend $2,000 a month on their mortgage or their rent. And I'm like, what are you doing? Okay. Okay, car payments. I once met a dude, no lie. He was making $12 an hour at 7-Eleven, and he drove a brand new Lotus. I'm like, dude, your payment's like $1,800. How do you do that? And he's like, I live at home with my parents, but I got a Lotus. Okay, so, and then eating out. I often tell people to sell their house and invest their profits. I know for sure there's at least 2 or 3 people in here. I've said you should probably sell your house, take the profits, reinvest those. That's your seed money to start your business. Okay, for some of you, all you have to do is downgrade your car and your house for a year to pay off your debt, and then you'll be able to save $25,000 in less than a year. If you hustle, if you work overtime, if you start another business, it'll be even faster than that. The more frugally you can live, the faster you can get out of the rat race, and the more you'll have to invest while you're in this stage. So when I started, I was wholesaling, and my expenses, believe it or not, I got them under $900. I mean, I was buying bags of rice from Dollar Tree. I was buying chicken thighs from Dollar Tree. I would try and find the little ones, because if you get the little ones, you can get 3 for $1. Usually it's 2 for $1, but yeah, whatever it took. Okay, so this will be your emergency fund, and also your starting capital to go get loans, start a new business, or whatever you want to do. You sleep better knowing that your bills are paid for the next 5 to 10 months. This is called the cash runway. So what I was saying is I would wholesale a deal. My expenses are $900 a month. If I make $1,800 on a small wholesale deal, I'm good for 2 months. So what happens if I make $5,000 on a deal? If your expenses are low, your liability is low. Your runway can go farther on less. So this is why I say, like, when you're starting out, people are like, man, why don't you buy a Rolex? Why don't you buy a Lamborghini? Even if you could pay cash for a Lamborghini or 5 Lamborghinis, it doesn't make sense until you have enough cash flow that you can pay for it and it doesn't hurt, in my opinion. Okay. Reducing personal expenses. Let's start there. This is how we do it. This is how we did it and how we still do it. Cook at home, eat out less. A lot of you guys see my Facebook story. I'm always cooking. It's for 2 reasons. To save money, and because, well, we like our cooking, and we pull stuff out of the garden, and it saves a lot of money, and it's delicious, and we don't know who's been touching our food when we go out to restaurants. Okay, so make your food from scratch. Eggs, rice, chicken, 80% ground beef. Buy in-season items that are on sale. You ever notice, like at Sprouts or Walmart, they always have like these parts over here that all the stuff is in one place. Those are usually like the in-season rotating items, and they're usually on sale. That's what we buy. Sometimes I go to the checkout stand and I'm like, $30? I got all this for $30? It's because I make a game out of it. See how cheap you can get out of there. One time I spent $200, and I sent Hunter like screenshots and everything, and I'm like, I spent $200? That's the first time I've ever done that. That was like 2 months ago. Okay, so make a game out of it. How much groceries can you buy for $60 if you're single or $100 if you have a family? I know some people, they say they spend $300 or $400 at the grocery store, and I'm like, how? I think it's because the name brand items. If you think about name brand items like Kraft and Philadelphia and all this stuff, like they're in it for profit. They spend money on marketing. Like they're trying to get you. So I buy the off-brand, because if you save 30% or 40%, it doesn't seem like a lot. Like, oh, I saved 40 cents. But what if that's every decision in your life and in your business? What if you save 30 to 40% on everything for a decade? That's a lot of cash. Okay, if you're single, get roommates, house hack, buy your house at a discount. So what we did is we got a construction loan and we did a live-in flip. And we bought it at enough of a discount that we could ask them for a mortgage of 79%. Don't read it. Does anybody know why? Why do we want our mortgage under 80%? PMI. To avoid PMI. That's typically like 0.5% to 1.5% of your entire loan. And that's not for your benefit. I'm pretty sure that's for the benefit of the bank. So we don't want to pay it. All right. So you do that so that you can leverage and you can skip paying PMI mortgage insurance, private mortgage insurance. We got a construction loan, and then you can refinance into a long-term loan. So if anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about, it's like find a live-in flip. You buy it with a construction loan, and then you fix it up just like a normal flip, and this is also going to help you learn, and it's amazing because you can do it with 5% down. You know, a lot of these investor banks are going to ask you for 20% down, or you have to have enough equity that they want 10, 15, 20%, you know, the 90% of cost or 80% of cost. If you do it in a live-in flip, you only need 5% down. So that's a great way to get started. Just buy a cheaper one. I've seen people like lose everything trying to do an $800,000 flip on their first one. Don't do that. Stay under the median. Okay. Always buy deals. Find the specials. AMC is half off on Tuesdays, and I found out last night it stacks with the matinee. You get like 60% off. Movies are $5 on Wednesdays at Flick's Brewhouse. Tuesdays is buy one, get one free at Buffalo Wild Wings. Coupons for haircuts. That's why my hair is so long. I didn't get a coupon this month. Buy Happy Meals. If any of you guys go to the Wednesday meeting, you'll see me eat the Happy Meal because it's $6.99. Always go around happy hour and ask what their special is. Use coupons. Ask for discounts on everything. Shop around. Save up for Black Friday. Buy used. I don't spend any money all year, and then Black Friday comes, and I'm like, we spent how many thousands of dollars? Because I do it all at once, so we can get 30% off. This is like I'm living this. It works. It's really important, but take it as extreme as you want to. Okay, let's talk about reducing business expenses. Always get 3 bids, build relationships with lower cost vendors, contractors, et cetera. There's always someone that can do it cheaper. Sometimes you have to pay for it twice on the journey. I've done that a lot, but then you meet that person and they save you a lot of money like forever. Okay, ask for a bulk discount. I buy 10 photo shoots at a time to save 33%. You know, they're like, hey, it's $150 a piece. And I was like, okay, well, if I buy 10 of them, can I get a discount? I recently did this with billboards. You know, most people are like, I want 1 billboard, I want 2 billboard. I'm like, well, if I get 7 and I pay cash, how big of a discount can I get? And they tell me, and then I go even lower. And I was like, can you ask your boss? Can you ask the owner if they could do this? I'm serious. Okay, call the owner and ask for an investor discount. Roll-offs, we do it with title companies, we do it with realtors. Negotiate a volume discount for everyone that you work with consistently because there is an economy of scale. The more you do, the more valuable your business is to them. Do less with more. Riley always says that we run a 4-man team with 2 people. We're efficient. Buy used laptops, printers, equipment, even phones, eBay. Don't pay retail for anything because if it's retail, they're trying to make money off you. They're trying to make profit off of you. But if you're in business, you should be trying to make that profit. And when you save money, that's after tax. So I think it's just as good or better than making money. Told you this is going to be really boring stuff about saving money. Feel free to leave. Okay, use a line of credit or refinance cash to acquire properties and remodel, rent, sell. So get a line of credit. There's banks that will do an all business assets line of credit. So then you can save on origination fees. You can save on, you don't even have to do appraisals or anything up front if you can acquire this business line of credit. Pay cash for a house, then refinance so you don't pay closing costs and origination twice. So a lot of people, their method is they go out and buy a house with hard money. They pay 2, 3, 4 points up front. And then they fix it up, and then they're paying 12% interest while they're fixing it up, and then they go to refinance it again and they pay origination again. So if you skip all of that, use your line of credit or cash to buy it, and then go to a lender that will do an in-house refinance off of a title report so you don't have to pay closing costs again. So you'll only require a doc fee and appraisal or a 0.5% origination fee. That alone, if you do 10 or 20 deals a year, will save you $50,000, $60,000, $80,000. This one tip. So what do you do with your savings now that you've saved 25 grand by being frugal and lame like me? Invest you must, money you will make. Okay, step 2. This is where you get to $100,000 in liquidity. This is the make money stage. You need to turn that 25 grand into 100 grand. It's like, I think a lot of people don't start saving money because they're like, what's saving $100 gonna do? What's saving $200 gonna do? But 200 turns into 1,000, 1,000 into 2, 2 into 5, and 5 into 10, and 10 into 25, and then you can start doing this stuff. So what are some ways that you can make more money? What's the best ROI you can get early on? A lot of you guys said you have credit card debt. That's 20%. Have you ever done the math to see, take your balance, times it by 20%, and divide it by 12 months? It could be $100, $200, $300 a month. And then if you're going negative in any accounts and they dip you for $35, I've seen on some people's accounts, they're dipping you 4 times a month. That's $120. So you're compounding, they say compounding is the sixth wonder of the world or whatever, right? It works against you too. You're having compound interest against you whenever you let your credit cards charge you interest. Okay. Buying something for $1 and selling it for $2. So flip stuff, sell anything or everything. Provide more value at work, ask for a raise, ask your boss what you can do to bring in more revenue and efficiency so they can pay you more. Nothing is free. So if you want more money at your job, ask for more work. Ask them, what can we do to bring in more business so I can get paid more? I have a family, I have a baby on the way, I have whatever, I need to make more money. It's in my goals to make more money, what can I do? Have that conversation. A lot of people are afraid to have that conversation, but that's all it is a conversation. And if they won't listen, you're probably at the wrong job. Okay, start your own business. Service businesses can make money today. There's a guy that I wanted to be here, and he didn't come, but it's because he started the business that we just talked about it a week ago. And he said, hey, this was my job, now I'm jobless. What do? I want to get into real estate. And I was like, how much savings do you have? What are your living expenses? Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, nothing, this is my thing, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, what'd you do before? And he said, well, I cut hair, I was a barber. And I was like, are you licensed? And he said, yeah. And I said, dude, why don't you do that for yourself? When you do it at the barber shop, you're making 50%. So he's making $20, $25 plus tip, or sometimes $15 plus tip. But if he does it on his own, now he's making 50. And now he's booking 4 a day, 5 a day, 6 a day, making 5 times more than he did at the job. Service businesses can pay you today. It's awesome. Okay, start a side hustle. Sell on eBay or Amazon, flip things on Marketplace. The dude that we bought our couch from was flipping couches. And that dude's like 20 years old making $5,000 a month. I've seen people do it with laptops, phones, whatever, flip stuff. That's how I started. Start flipping houses, learn to wholesale, get into construction, use your skills, whatever they are. A lot of you guys have some weird skills, use those, people pay for it. Okay, money's made on the phone, create value, provide service, make deals happen. So this is, when I started, I read all these finance books, and they're like, stop drinking Starbucks, put it in the S&P 500 or a mutual fund. In 40 years, you'll have $1 million maybe, if you're good. And I was like, that's too slow. So I had this idea, if you buy something for $1 and turn it into $2, what's your ROI? 100%, you double your money. Well, what if you did it, I bought 2,000 fidget spinners. What if you do it 2,000 times? What if you do it with these? I was buying these for 65 cents from China, big boxes of them, and sell them at the flea market like this. Look, this is all my fidget spinners out. This is like a random thing I found. So I would go to the, what's it called? The Goodwill, warehouse where the last chance where they pull stuff out of Goodwill and then they put it in the bins. And I would go there, and most of this stuff is by the weight. It's like $2 a pound, and just throw it all in your cart. And then I would take out my phone, and just like we pull comps on houses, I was pulling comps on items. Pretty sure that's a cotton candy maker. Probably made $30 on it or something. So anyways, buy something for $1, sell it for $2. This is a good way to invest $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 if that's where you're starting. Click. This is the one that changed my life, honestly. Buy a personal home. How many of you guys rent? Anybody in here rent a house you're living? You all own the house that you live in? Oh, that's freaking awesome. Okay, so buy a personal home. Did you know that you can sell your primary residence and be exempt from capital gains taxes on the first $250,000 if you're single and $500,000 if you're married and filing jointly? This is the 2 out of 5 year rule. So if you live in a personal house for 2 years and then sell it, you don't pay capital gains. That is the biggest life hack I've ever learned. I was like, you don't what now? And so that's exactly what I did. In 2013, I bought my first house with a personal mortgage, and I bought it for $50,000. It was listed on the MLS for $40,000, but I'd already spent 4 months looking for a house. And this one got listed for $40,000. It was a 3-bed, 2-bath, 2-car garage, brick house in a corner lot. I'm like, that's my house. I bid $10,000 over asking price, sight unseen, and I won it. And I lived there. That was the house with the concrete floors. I lived there for 3.5 years. I had roommates, and I finally sold it. And this is the proceeds check on May 26, 2017, $53,899. How many of you guys would like a $54,000 check? So that was my seed money to start the businesses we have now. $46,000 of it was net profit, to be fair, because I had to pay to paint it because I got tired of painting myself. But that's where I learned to do drywall and what shark bites were and all that stuff. Click. Okay, step 3. This is where you get set for life. This is where we build cash flow, buy assets, cash producing assets. Continue to increase revenue and income and save money to invest. You never stop saving because you put it into assets, because the longer you do that, the more that you'll have at the end of the road, whenever the end of the road is for you. Set a goal, win the game once. Be intentional about finding assets to invest your cash into. Real estate is the most amazing asset because you can buy it cheap enough that you can refinance and pull out all, if not most, of your capital and repeat. You could burr. So imagine when you buy stocks, you have to put $100,000 into stocks, and you can borrow back 50% of it at a certain point or whatever, sure, but that's as good as it gets, is 50%. In real estate, you can buy it at enough of a discount that you can be all in after repairs at 80%. The bank will loan you 80%, and you can pull out every single dollar, and what I've seen a lot of our friends do is even get paid at closing or at the refinance and have nothing in it, and then you get infinite return. And I love infinite return, but I once had a mentor that said it's called investing because you're supposed to put money in. And the people that I know that have 5 million, 10 million, 20 million, they talk about cash on cash return, return on equity, and they talk about like, it's better to get 9% consistently than it is to get 600, 700% in a meme coin and potentially lose it. And people scream from the rooftops whenever they're winning, but nobody talks about when they're losing. Slow and steady wins the race. Be the turtle. Okay. Think long term. It's not so much about today's cash flow. I waited too many years to buy rentals because $100 to $200 a month was not exciting to me. Is there anyone in here that doesn't own a rental and isn't excited about rentals because you're like, $100 a month is nothing? Anybody at all? Y'all shy. So I didn't want to buy rentals because I'm like, $100 a month? That's so boring. And guess what? I sold all those to Andrew Cross. And he's happy now. Because I made $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 on each one of those deals. And he bought them and put up with crazy people stealing the copper out of them and the stuff I didn't want to deal with and jacking up houses and bracing them up. But those houses have doubled in value, tripled in value since then. So I made 1,000, he made 30 or 40 or 50, so who's winning? But can you imagine buying houses at 70 to 80% of 2015 prices, or even 2018 prices? Does anybody remember what houses were selling for back then, 2015, 2018? Okay, so majority of my wealth was created from 2019 to 2024. I bought my first rental in 2016, I bought 2 more after that, and I had 3, and that's all I had until 2018. But your entire life can change in 5 or 6 years. So if you could get houses at 70 to 80% of 2015 to 2018 prices, how many would you buy? Well, that's where we're at right now. Go buy houses. Okay. If you had a time machine, go back and buy those houses. That's what I was just talking about. Today's accumulators are tomorrow's wealthy. So start today. Here's an example. I was sitting boggling my brain at all about Cha writing this one. $125,000 rentals at 80% equals $7,000 to $10,000 cash flow and $600,000 to $900,000 of equity. So that's if you have a $125,000 house and you buy it at 80%. That should be the amount of equity that you have on paper and approximate cash flow, $7,000 to $10,000. 5 years goes by quick, so be intentional with your future. Rentals make you wealthy. Worked for me at least. Okay, so here's a bonus on debt, equity, and inflation. Another reason to buy rentals. Do you think that they'll ever print more money? Ever? Ever again? Okay. I believe inflation and appreciation is a result of the value of the dollar going down as they print more money. The best hedge against this is having rental properties and debt on the rental properties, which will be devalued and become cheaper. So the debt becomes cheaper as they print more dollars. Debt cost goes down, house values go up. So the devaluation of the dollar is how the value of the house goes up and the value of the debt goes down. Every 3 to 5 years, you can sell or 1031 or refinance houses to collect this appreciation and this inflation and put your equity to work. So 25 houses at $125,000 at a 4% average annual inflation and appreciation over 5 years is $5,000 per house. Per year, that's $125,000 per year on 25 houses. So 80% of this, you can cash out, refinance $400,000 to $600,000 in cash. You guys wonder, how do you get to the point where you pay cash for houses? This is it. You collect houses. You collect equity and you let it appreciate, and then 3, 4, 5 years later, you sell, you refinance, you pull out the equity, you have $500,000, you do stupid stuff like buy restaurants and lots of cars and mattress stores. Thanks. All right, but if you do it right, you go buy more rentals. You buy businesses that actually cash flow. Cash producing assets. You become a hard money lender. You invest in other people's deals, good operators, because maybe you have a 6-figure job and you really like it and you don't have the time, so you go invest in other people's deals. Do this 4 or 5 times and you're ready to retire with millions of dollars. Be a good steward and it will grow. This is literally the simplest way I could show you how to become a millionaire. What do you mean? Buy one house, and then buy one more house, and then buy one more house and try to survive. And then sell, and then buy 3 more and think, why did I do this? And then in 10 years you're a millionaire. I don't know anybody that it was easy for. It's not easy for anyone, but you just do one, and then you do one more, and sell your personal house, take that equity, and go buy 2 more. And then you just wait. Time is your friend. Okay, so here's the goal. This is a little bit of me, a little bit of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So you take your active income. This is businesses, your W-2 job, your job income, services, hustle, sales, doing deals. This is active income. This is money that we create by doing something, showing up, selling our time, whatever. You use this money to buy passive income. This is rental properties, assets, stocks, crypto, holdings, cash flow producing assets. So this pays for that, which pays for that. Most people don't have this. They don't have this. They have the W-2, and it pays their bills, and there's nothing left. That's why I told you step 1 was be frugal. Okay, now you have passive income, which pays for your personal. So in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he talks about your assets paying for your doodads, right? Your liabilities and your doodads, your house, your car, your mortgage, utilities, Netflix, Hulu, whatever you got, family bills. Okay, the next slide is, this is what mine looks like. Because as you guys can tell, I'm very frugal. I'm an aggressive saver. And that's because I want to buy more of those. I want more assets. So this is what mine looks like right now. My active income from flips, wholesales, and wholetails pays for my personal expenses. My mortgage, my basic bills, my food, fun, hot wife, soon babies, and I'm on a salary. It's a very low salary. I'm not even going to tell you because you laugh. But sometimes if you really need it, you can pull like $2,000 down, $5,000 down, whatever you need, just within reason. Be a good steward. Okay, so my money, I have a salary and I pull a little bit over from my active income to my personal income. But most of the money, I've moved over ridiculous checks over here to pay cash for rentals. Passive income, rental properties, this is a retirement plan. I have never taken a single dollar from my rental properties. That's how it's compounded over the last 6 years to what it is now. So note, no car payment, 79% owed on mortgage to avoid PMI, no credit card debt. I live on $3,000 a month or less now, and I've never taken a dollar from rentals because I want it to compound. When I was single, it was like $1,200, $1,500 a month. The only thing I really spent money on was traveling, and I'd even do that at a discount. Go stay in hostels, find the cheapest flight. That was my fun. Work hard, play hard. This is what real estate's been able to do for me, though. This is crazy. Married this hottie. Been to a lot of places all over the world. I lived in Thailand for 9 months. I've been to Colombia for 2 weeks. I've taken many 2-week trips to Europe and Southeast Asia. Dozens of Mexico trips. Went to Rome with Nick. Fun fact, the socks I'm wearing, we bought in Rome. I grew up in a 458 square foot 1-bedroom house with no central heat and air. I didn't have central heat and air until I was 22 years old. And now we live in this crazy looking house on a 1/4 acre by Lake Hefner. I love it. Happily married to this hot wife, and we adopted a kangaroo. Not really, not really. So as Christo was saying earlier, I agree. Books have changed my life. Riley and Hunter give me crap because I buy them faster than I can read them because I'm like, wow, I want to know what that author has to say. Books are, just as I'm sharing some of my nuggets with you guys, each one of these is an author's nuggets. It's their 5 years, 10 years, 20-year, 30-year experience put into a book. And a lot of these guys are selling courses or whatever, and they want $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000. But you can get the general idea and principles inside the book, And you write them down and you study each thing that they're talking about. What are they talking about? They're talking about marketing, they're talking about sales, they're talking about leverage. You can learn each of those things individually through YouTube or community college or whatever. Find someone in here that's doing it and ask them. Go to abebooks.com, abebooks.com. That's where most of these books were used. When I started, whenever that first story about going to the prison and being told about Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and then I bought Armando Montalongo's Flip and Grow Rich, I went to abebooks.com and I typed in real estate and entrepreneurship and making money and getting wealthy and all those things. And they were selling books back then for 1 cent with $3.99 shipping. So a lot of these books I bought for $4, $5, $6. Here's some books I recommend. If you're starting out, if you can feel my energy a little bit, like I'm usually chill and I'm just hanging out and I'm like actively resting with you guys. But whenever I'm like really fired up, it's because of the principles from this book. Be obsessed or be average. When I listen to that, I probably won't answer your phone call because I'm too busy making money. It just gives you permission to be obsessed. The next one is Set for Life. This is talking about the principles of a cash runway, saving money, and then building enough cash flow to live your life, set for life. This one was recommended to me by Marty Hoffman, and I just finished it a few days ago, and I love this book. I almost would say The Wealthy Gardener is better than Rich Dad, Poor Dad in a way, and it's good for everything. It's good for the very beginner. It's good for the dude that's been in business for 20 years. Just the principles of that book is amazing. It's a father leaving a message for his son. All the best of his stuff. He became a multimillionaire, started buying real estate. He owned a chiropractic office. He talked about why you should work hard, why you shouldn't work hard, how to not work too hard, how to self-reflect. I mean, there's so many nuggets in there. All right, focus. Don't chase shiny objects. I have people that come to me and they're like, I want to do an online store. I want to run this service business. I thought about starting a heat and air company. I'm into rental properties. Now I'm doing sub-twos. Now I'm doing novations and lease options. And I am also flipping and thinking about building houses. And I still have a job. And I'm like, focus. The gap between the life you want and the life you're living is called mindset, focus, and consistency. So when I started, they said that I was that way. It's like, imagine throwing a bunch of jelly beans up in the air and trying to catch all of them at once. I wanted to do everything. I wanted to learn everything and be able to know how to do everything because my thought process was, well, if I get a lead, I have an exit strategy for it because I can do any of those. But if you do all of them, you won't get good at any of them. And I posted this on Facebook a few days ago that the first 5 years in business isn't where you get rich. It's where you get good. It's where you dial in. It's where you build the relationships. It's where you dial in. Don't let the entire staircase overwhelm you. Just focus on the first step. By one. Learn the process. If you want to flip, do a wholesale first. Buy it, close on it, clean it out, take professional pictures, list it on the MLS and learn the process. Even if you make $2,000 or $3,000. I did several of those when I started, just to learn the process because there's a process to keeping the lawns mowed, remembering to keep the utilities on, remembering if you have insurance on it. Those are skills and processes that you have to learn and put in place before you start doing more and more and more and more and more. It takes years, but if you never start, you'll never get there. So just do one. Getting rich is not an accident, unless you bought Dogecoin in 2015 and forgot about it until now. $10,000 invested on May 6, 2015 would be worth $6,949,060.61 today, which is a 69,490.61% ROI. Should have bought more Dogecoin. Okay, but we can't time the market. And I don't think anyone in here has a crystal ball or can time the market. People are like, it's going to go up, it's going to go up. Everyone's talking about crypto right now. But they're not talking about the last time this happened when they put $20,000 in, watched it go to 90, and then it went back down to 10, and they never cashed out. So if you never sell and take profits, it's just unrealized gains, which can turn into unrealized losses. So I like to sell, always. I'm kind of addicted to checks. Take the profits, roll it into another investment. Turn the cash over 2 times a year. So imagine if you invest $30,000 down on a flip, and you make $30,000 profit every 6 months. That's 100% cash on cash return. Twice a year is 200 APY, 200% API, annual percentage yield. Does that make sense to anybody? Anybody not get that? I try to turn the money over and over and over and over again multiple times a year. That's why I'm addicted to selling things. Because yes, cash flow is good. Yes, I'm telling you how important rental properties are and collecting equity and hedging against depreciation, appreciation, all that. But if you can get the cash, if you create cash and then put it back in and create more cash and then do it again and do it again, it compounds. Now you have something to put into the rental properties. Now you have cash to pay cash for the houses, pull it out and do it all over again. Okay, so how long would it take you to turn $5,000 into $25,000 and then $25,000 into $100,000 and $100,000 into $1 million if you did just this? If you could collect 200% APY. If you can move your money and turn it over 3-4 times a year, it's going to grow really quick. Write stuff down, especially goals. A dream written down with a date becomes a goal. A goal broken down into steps becomes a plan. A plan backed by action makes your dreams come true. So I've been writing down my stuff since 2013. I went to a real estate cruise, which I wrote a hot check for. And I said, please don't cash this for a couple months. I need to go do a wholesale deal. And I went on that cruise and we did a goal setting session. And I didn't know how to write goals because, you know, we hear like, oh, go write down a number. And then they talked about SMART goals. It has to be specific, measurable, blah, blah, blah. And I wrote down, I want a Lamborghini and $1 million. That wasn't my goal. That was a superficial goal that the world makes us think that we're supposed to have. But what's really important, you know? Okay, so in 2018, I said, I run a real estate company that makes over $10,000 per month by wholesaling, rehabbing, renting, flipping, and wholetailing at least 2 deals per month by spending $1,500 to $3,000 per month on marketing. I have at least one person to help with acquisitions and dispositions, and I have made at least $120,000 by December 31st, 2019. This was a goal that I wrote in 2018, and I made it happen. I don't know how, but every time I write stuff down, I told someone here earlier that write it down, shorten it, and look at it every single day because your subconscious mind will move you towards it every single day. That one step, that one movement towards it. Like the goldfish, it's eating a little extra, moving a little faster, spending a little extra time at work, putting in a little overtime, starting another business in your after work. Okay, in 2021, I wrote my goals, and I this is a crazy story. I can go into this off camera, but I was sitting by myself in my condo in the middle of the night, and I just started writing. What do I want? What do I want? And after writing a few pages, I condensed it to this. So this is talking about writing your goals and then condensing it so that you can look at it. And this is what mine looked like in 2021. I hadn't paid taxes in 2 years at this time, and I think I had maybe 5 rentals. File and pay taxes because it's been a couple years. Hire a bookkeeper and a CPA because I didn't have either. Get on top of promises in life. That's where a lot of us need to start. You know? Get on top of your promises in life. Make the phone call. Organize spreadsheet to keep track. Millionaire yet? Question mark. I didn't know. That's how bad it was. Put out bandit signs, send postcards, do deals, lunch with investors on Wednesdays from 11 to 1 p.m. Some of you guys remember Couscous with Friends? It was a goal before it was reality. Dates, hangouts, fun, movies on weekends between 6 and 8, work at coffee shops, Sundays for meal prep, cook, clean, prepare for the week. The reason I did this is because I was trying to manage my time where this is what I wanted to do and everything else went into work. Goals by December 18th, 2021. I've done 15 to 20 deals, JVs, wholesales, and I'm at 20 plus rentals and I'm a millionaire. I think I was a little late on that one, but it happened the next year. My old system. So this is my old whiteboard. I'm guessing this was 2019. This is a little bit later in time. I have 5 deals at all times. This is, again, me talking to myself. How are you talking to yourself? What do you say to yourself? How are you coaching yourself? I have 5 deals at all times. Don't just make a goal and be like, ooh, I hope. No, like believe it. Ask better questions. What do I need to do to make this happen? And so I was doing it. I made a place for it. You know, if you're single and you want a wife, you have to make space for a wife, right? Someone told me that. Well, I was making space for 5 deals. I was too short, but I bet I got there eventually. $6,000 gross per month minimum. Here's how to do it. $1,000 to savings, $1,500 to living expenses, $1,500 to marketing, and $2,000 to debt, because I was still in debt. This is how I broke it down. Always breaking it down. You take a big goal, and then you shorten it, and then you shorten it, and then you squeeze it, and then you just take that one step. Okay. More breakdowns of how the postcards and yellow letters worked. Confidence is key. Be determined and persistent. Just effing do the work. Sorry. This is how I talk to myself. Okay, and then this was a little bit later, and you can see we're getting progress here. We're getting momentum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 deals on the board. Some of these are like pretty big profits too. I'm starting to have like 20K, 30K, 40K, 50K months. Plant seeds, move the pieces, automate, freedom. This is how I talk to myself. This is how I remind myself. Some people say, move the dial, move the meter, move the needle. I say plant seeds and move the pieces. Because if you move this here and you move this here and you move it in the right place, you're gonna have results. So this is what the business looks like now. Where's Riley? Dang, well, bye Riley, no. So Riley runs this for me mostly. I mean, we run a 4-man crew with 2 people, and this is what our business looks like right now. So closing soon in the next 2 weeks, we have a rental, 2 wholesales, another rental, a flip, another wholesale. We have another wholesale in the works, 2 flips and wholesales going, and then 4 more rentals in queue. So this is 13 deals between 2 people right now. So it's like, and it started, you saw kind of the progression. I was in a room with a whiteboard doing 1 deal. There was 1 deal on the board in 2015. A couple years later, there was 3, trying to get to 5. And then there was 7, trying to get to 10. Now there's 13 and our goals have changed. We're not talking about the type of deal. Now we're going for how much equity can we get in a year, how much cash flow can we build in a year, and just focus on that. I want to say that you guys can do this. You have to plan for it and you have to design your life. Seek and you shall. You can ask my wife. I am constantly seeking knowledge and trying to learn something. I started a couple years ago on Father's Day trying to think, what is the next thing? What am I going to do? And I probably watched 50, 60 hours of YouTube videos. And then I started that business. And then I made a few $1,000s, then I made $10 more $1,000. And I thought, you know, what's the ceiling for this? I could probably make 20 grand a month. And I decided to move on from it and pursue something else. So now I've started to pursue something else. And I just started recently, and I've spent $1,700 on courses. I spent $100 on books, and I'm on this journey. Ask me how it's going in 3 months. Okay, so sometimes I don't come to bed until 2 a.m. last night, and one time I didn't come to bed until 7 a.m., but she knows that I need to feed my passion and my obsession. It makes me feel alive, and it gives me fulfillment to learn and explore, to wonder and to dream, and to encourage others to do the same. Love big, guys, because none of us are permanent. Our life is like a breath of air, and our life is like a passing shadow. So what do you want to do now that while we still have time? I hope this is a wake-up call for somebody, because we got time. So what do you want to accomplish? Who do you want to be? How do you want to live? And who do you want to spend your days with? Who's important to you? Who do you need to call? Asking questions is how you get answers. Ask better questions and you'll get better answers. So stop saying, I can't, I don't know how. Somebody knows how. Take that person to lunch, take that person to coffee, message that person, pay that person for the time, whatever you got to do. Someone's done it, find that person and pay them to figure it out. Okay, you have to learn to learn. I thought about this when Krista was talking earlier. It's like she's showing you her recipe of how she learns and how she goes through the book and how she, how to process the information that you learn. You have to learn and never give up. It'll be hard, but it'll be worth it. So much love and good luck, guys. You want to do any questions?
He's so amazing.
Thank
do you have
you.
any question for him? We have stuff to do too, but I can, let's do 3 questions.
3 questions.
Do you have any questions?
Anybody? Nobody has a question?
Tell us about your biggest failure.
I was talking about getting enough equity that you could refinance and pull out $500,000. I never seen money like that before, and it scared me to see that I had a $5,000 or a $6,000 a month interest payment that wasn't producing income. So I kind of scrambled to spend the money on things that I thought would produce income. So I did that big refinance, 2021, I think. This is right around the time that interest rates went up. And let me tell you what I did with that money. I bought a mattress store. I bought with no employees. It was just a dude that was starting a church, and he kind of worked there sometimes. I bought a restaurant in the basement of a building on owner finance, signed a 3-year lease, signed a 5-year lease on the mattress store. I hired 3 more full-time employees with no training, no SOPs, no systems, no nothing. I signed a 3-year lease on a 14th floor office space at $2,000 a month. I bought 3 cars, a Porsche, a boosted Honda Civic, and the one I was driving as my daily. I put 14 houses under contract that month, and I did it all at the same time, and I figured out that I couldn't be everywhere at once. So one step at a time, go slow, one thing at a time. There's volume and there's magnitude. So go deep in one thing or touch a lot of things with systems in a small way. But I've found that most of us probably don't want to have 40, 50, 100 employees. So I think it's easier to go magnitude and make impact on something small than it is to try and do everything at once. You know, we hear this thing like, oh, you need 6 streams of income. Well, 6 streams of income can be like, I sell houses, I rent houses, like whatever. It doesn't have to be, I own a barber shop and a bar and a restaurant and a car dealership. No, it could be within your same lane. And so that was my mistake and what I learned.
Okay, so I got 2 parts. Like, spending, on here, breakdown into $1,500 a month. So, when you have no $1,500 a month, spending $1,500 a month, and committing to, I'm going to spend $1,500 a month, how do you, I guess, manifest the money to come? And then number 2, committing to saying, $1,500 is someone's house payment, you know what I'm saying? And so just saying, okay, I'm gonna spend this, knowing that it's gonna produce this consistently. So that's my question.
Are you saying that you need $1,500 or you're asking how to spend the $1,500?
I think for me it is both. I'm asking both questions at the same time. Okay, saying that I'm gonna spend $1,500 on this specific thing. Like, it's like one thing to say, I'm gonna get 10 photo shoots, because you know you're gonna get 10 photo shoots, you're gonna get 10 houses. But to say specifically, I'm gonna commit to spending $1,500 on this. Does that make sense? And especially if you didn't have a closing that month, or you didn't have the situation didn't line up for you to say, well, you need to spend $1,500 on marketing. This is what you've said you're gonna do. Does that make sense? Does my question make sense?
I think so. I think there's a couple of blanks that we need to fill, but step 1 was get to $25,000 in savings. So before you're committing to $1,500 a month on something, if that's not the best deal that you can get, or you don't know for sure that you are like 90% sure that you're going to get an ROI on that within the next 60 days, then I would rethink that real hard, and then also ask better questions of like, how do I make $1,500 to pay for this? If it's really your goal and if it's really something necessary that you need, like marketing, how can I make the $1,500? And maybe you need to put it off and save money until you get to $25,000 or $50,000 before you commit to a big thing like that. And is it a duration? Is it 3 months? Is it a year commitment? Is it forever I'm gonna pay $1,500 a month? Is it 5 years? Because like I just told him, I signed a 5-year lease, a 3-year lease, another 3-year lease, and commit to paying people salaries. Like, I lost 75 grand in 14 months of my life making too big of a decision too quick. So sometimes start small. Maybe do $500 a month. Start there and make the commitment and know, think about, another mentor told me, think about the runway of how long it's gonna take. If it's 6 months at $500 a month, how much is that, 3 grand? So put aside 3 grand and give it 6 months. If it doesn't work, quit. If it's too big of a commitment, you probably shouldn't make it yet. Does that help? Message me, we'll talk about it.
One more question. Yeah, go ahead.
Are you living in your dream life right now? If yes, then are you still going to work as hard and save as much money like you used to? If not, what is your dream life?
You know, God has really blessed me, and I am living a dream life. Seeing where I came from, coming from a 400-something square foot house, living in like a hallway and having concrete floors and not having any money until I was like 27. And now I live in a house 5 times, 6 times bigger. I married a dream girl, my dream girl. Like, I'm able to buy houses with cash and help a lot of people. I can travel where I want. I met the goal. I can do what I want, when I want, where I want, with who I want. So yes, I am living a dream life, but no, I'm not going to stop working, because honestly, I get depressed when I quit working. I get depressed when I quit growing. I get depressed when I'm not achieving. And now, we have a baby on the way coming in April. So it's like, it's not just about me anymore. And this isn't just about me anymore. This is hopefully to touch a few people in here that need someone to say, like, you can do it, just take that one next step. And so I don't think I'll ever stop. I don't think I'll ever retire. Andrew told me a story a long time ago about this guy that had a $17,000 check in his pocket, and he said he just dabbles in real estate. I want to be that guy, but I want to do bigger things. I want to eventually be like some of the awesome people in here and make more of an impact, and maybe like build walkable spaces, build more affordable housing, create something that affects a lot of other people, and you get paid as a side effect. But I think the excitement of the project is more exciting. There's another guy I saw earlier that he's got way more money than he needs to live the rest of his life. And I asked him that question on Tuesday, and I said, man, why do you keep working? And he said, it's a game. Like, once you've tasted this, once you've seen what's possible, you can never go back. Like, you just have to see what you're capable of, and you keep going. So no, I'll never quit. Does that answer it? Okay. One more? Okay, good.